Good morning, January 12, 2024. A couple of friends have asked me how I select the opposing pairs that I use in what I call my toggle tag monitor, where I just play tag all day between two tickers that are naturally opposing. And so here's a quick look at how I do it. First of all, I have a watch list structured over here on the right that's structured vertically, where I have one section that's the actual monitor. The next section is one tickers that I've been watching recently. Third section is the underlying. For example, if we were looking at REW as a quick way to do stuff with XLK, I'd have XLK in here under the underlying. Source is just all the other tickers in the category that we're looking at, and right now, as you can see, I'm going to use Forex to illustrate it. And then the last section I call related, meaning I just toss in a bunch of other tickers that aren't really part of Forex but somewhat related, and so you'll see how that works. So the first thing I do is I come up into this monitor section here and I put in there two tickers that I think would be fun to play with on this particular day. And if you look over here, you can see why I would have picked those today. USD CAD is trucking up pretty nicely, and Euro USD is doing the opposite. It's coming down. And that's exactly what I do. I just pick two tickers that seem to be going opposite to each other. I watch the signal panel for the moment when they both cross over, in other words, when they reverse direction. And if I'm in a position long on USD CAD, when it does cross over and start to come down, I not only take the profit out of it, but I will very often come over and go long the one that's moving against it, and can just go back and forth, sometimes over the course of several days, sometimes even a couple of times within one day, and pocket a bit of profit in both directions. So to come back to how I set the thing up, within the source listing, because this is Forex, I've got usually dozens of currencies in here, and you can just come down the change rate and you'll see which ones are going up by a good chunk for the day and which ones are going down, and you pick the one that's going up the fastest and the one that's going down the fastest, and move those two up into the monitor section, which is what I did this morning with USD CAD and Euro USD. Now, I sometimes like to have what I call the underlyings close to hand during the course of the day. For example, if we were instead of doing Forex, if we were doing bonds today, I'd have bonds in the monitor, but I'd have yields on the treasuries in the underlying. So in this case, I'm watching two currencies. I like to have a sample of the current United States Treasury yield and even the US dollar close to hand. So if I come up here to the 4-pane layout, there's all four of them. I've got the USD CAD and the Euro USD, which are the two that I want to monitor, and then these are the underlyings, as I call them, that I like to be able to have a glance at during the course of the day, see whether rates are going up and down, see what the dollar is doing, because that's often an indication of what's about to come in the other currencies. And once I've put those four into the monitor section of the watch list and loaded them into their four panes here, you just come back up here to your layout and select, instead of the 4, select the 2. And that's all there is to it. I'm now looking at what I call my toggle tag monitor, where I've got two tickers that are moving opposite each other more or less today, and I just keep an eye on them during the course of the day, And if they cross over, this one is going up. If it crosses over down, this one's going down. If it crosses over up, I simply pop over to my order entry screen and switch. Take profits in the one that's done its run for the moment, and go along the other. And that's all there is to it. What makes it pretty damn powerful is that I do that in all of these domains across the top of my tabs here. So I go from yields to bonds to forex to equities to industrial sectors to different commodities to the countries, other foreign countries, what they're doing, my own generated alerts, a little bit of a scan of hedge eyes RTAs. Then I have one that's just purely for research where I can come in and pound around on stuff without being too careful. I've got one here that I use for drafting my QUIP comments that I put up for friends every once in a while, and so forth, all the way across. Each of them is set up in the same general pattern as this. In other words, a two-pane opposing pair and a vertical watch list that allows me to select what goes into that pair. Now, for example, tomorrow morning we could come in and perhaps the Japanese yen would be back to being one of them. So I would move the Japanese yen into the monitor, and I'd take one of the ones in the monitor and move it down into recent, demote it, so that at any one time I've only got the two that I'm monitoring as a toggle tag, and a little glimpse of the underlying. And that's pretty well it. There's not much else. All I can say is that I can go to any one of my other tabs across here, and I'll get pretty much the same thing. See, here's bonds, and the monitor. Right now I've got TMF and TMV in there, one going down and the other going up. And the underlying, of course, is the yields. So I've got as a token, I've got the 20-year. If I select the 3-panel layout, I can have it up there along with here. Let me squish the watch list over a bit so you can see it a little better. See, with the 3-panel one, I've got my two opposing pairs to play toggle tag, but I've got the underlying there too that I can keep an eye on. I want to know what's happening to yields while I'm playing with bonds. But if I just want to concentrate on the pair, I come back up to the layout selector and go back to just 2 panes, and there I have, similar to what we just saw under Forex. I've got TMF coming down and I've got TMV going up, and full concordance in both of them. Nice clear indication of momentum and the crossover. One's near the top of its range, the other near the bottom, and so it fits right in with the analysis process. This is coming down towards the bottom end of its range, and if it crosses up, this one's going near the top end of its range. If it crosses down, I simply take a profit on the one that's done its run. In this case, it would be a TMV, and put the money into a TMF instead, and ride the pair the other direction. Hope that explains it all. And as always, if anybody has questions, leave me a message and we can talk about it. Ciao for now.